Hello, everyone. I am so happy to see you all here. I'm happy you made it. We're going to start at 7:30 sharp. So feel free to start writing any questions you may have about what we're going to talk today. Today is an informal chat where you can ask questions pertaining whole ranch profitability, low-cost biological methods, total grazing, adapted genetics, and anything pertaining high profits. Hello, Daniel. Nice to see you here. Yes, to ask questions, to be able to post your questions through StreamYard, you need to grant permission to StreamYard by using your name at the streamyard.com/Facebook. Then that allows you to post your questions and I can read them and post them here, like this one. There. So please go there and grant permission so we can use your name and see it there. Like this one. Hey, hello, Patrick. Nice to see you here. We're almost going to start. I'm going to put this back for other people that are new to this way. I am also learning, so bear with me. We start at 7:30, so please be sure to go into streamyard.com/Facebook and grant permission so you can post questions and I can see them. Okay, hello everybody. I am happy to see you all here. My name is Jim Elizondo from Real Wealth Ranching. I help ranchers to maximize their profits to the max and while improving their land the fastest. My focus is on low-cost biological methods that bring harmony to your life, your land, and your livestock. I also consult on very different environments worldwide. So with that said, I will be happy to answer questions pertaining adapted genetics selection, total grazing, low-cost biological methods. Like I am very keen into planting new plant species to improve our forage production and also to improve our soils and to extend our grazing season. So I'm going to start. Hello, Dean. Yes, I can see you. You're here. There. Nice to see you, Dean. Well, you're welcome. So everyone, please try to grant permission to StreamYard. Okay. Well, I would like to see questions if there are any. Today I was with the cows, and we're at the end of the stockpile grazing season. We are in February. Usually we start getting green here in Tallahassee, Florida, at the end of second part of March, and by April 1st, or around that, we're going to go into green season grazing mode. But right now, the stockpile bahia grass is starting to rot because we have had at least 10 or 13 frosts, and then warm with rain, then cold again, and they are warm season perennial grasses. So I would like to explain how we do that if you're interested. Hello, Beatriz. Hola, Beatriz. Bienvenida. I'm happy you're here, and I'm going to put back this so people that are getting into the chat will be able to post their comments and questions. Okay, if any of you have any question, I would like for you to post it here in the comments, and I will put it over here. Okay, well, I was explaining the bahia grass is starting to rot. That means quality is going down. That means we have to increase our protein supplementation, considering like if our bahia grass has only 2% protein instead of the 4% protein that I was considering. Besides, I always use the best quality stockpile at the first part of the grazing season in the winter, and the lowest quality or the oldest I leave for the last because it deteriorates slower, and that's why I use it at last. That means lower protein, lower TDN, and lower energy value. So what do you do then if you get into that situation? Hello, David. Nice to see you here, David. So what do you do in that situation? Well, you have two alternatives. Either you feed them full feed of hay, which is very expensive, or do as I've found a way to do it. I feed them like, let's say, 3 round bales for 340 cows. These round bales are 750 pounds per bale per day. That's all I feed to them. So the animals that require the most will eat that. And then I keep feeding the protein supplement, but at a lower quantity per day. Hello, Joel from Australia. Nice to see you here. Oh, nice to see you. And then they immediately started eating more, and their gut feel got better because now they can mix a little better quality Bermuda hay forage in the lower quality bahia grass, which is turning gray. It's not yet fully oxidized, but it's very low quality. And I was able to lower a little the cottonseed meal or cow cubes. And that is our best option at this time of the year, and the cows look great. If there is any question, just interrupt me and go ahead with your questions. So that's what we're doing here. That doesn't mean that for example, in Australia, I'm not going to tell you to do that right now. Over there is green season, or in South America, maybe in Colombia, you don't have that problem. Or in Spain, I know it's 6 hours later than here, so it's late right now. Thank you for coming here with us. I talked to Miguel Angel in Madrid yesterday, and he has a property outside of Madrid near Toledo, where it has rained too much now, but his pastures are green and lush right now in February. So his cows are in good body condition with nothing but grass, but some fields are flooded. So you have to adjust and adapt to the different parts that in the environment that you're working at. Here is the first question. It's by Dean Moser. I'm going to post it. He says, what would you guess your bahia grass is protein-wise? Our bahia grass never goes above 10% in the green season because we do not use nitrogen fertilizer. So when it's stockpiled, I'm happy to achieve 4%. But at the end of the stockpile grazing season, which is now, it goes down to around 2% protein. So I have to adjust for that. Bahia is low quality and high lignin. But with correct genetics, adapted animals that have been selected with the right guidelines, we can achieve fat cows, we can achieve good body condition to have high fertility and high productivity per acre. That's what gives us the money. The highest stocking rate, the number of productive animals you can carry per year per ranch or farm, is what determines profits if you do it at a low cost. That's why I'm always talking about low-cost biological methods. We want to use nature in our favor and never contradict nature, even in our selection, but especially in the way we have our cows grazed. We need to consider that the plant, each individual plant, has its needs. And the first need a plant has is to be able to store energy for the lean or difficult periods. To do that, you need to take off the leaves and the stems after the plant has fully recovered. And when you grade, you need to take both leaf and stems. If you only take the leaves and leave the stems will continue respiring and consuming energy, draining the reserves that are in the roots and crowns. So when we think like that, it doesn't make sense to graze selectively, and weaken our plants, our best plants, while providing ample rest to the less desirable species, which soon take over. And that's the main problem with selective grazing. Well, I'm getting off track. I will go back. Please ask questions so I can answer. We have Patrick, Dean, Beatriz Pablos. Oh, from Eastern New Mexico. It should be cold there. We brought the Mashona cows from northeastern New Mexico to Florida in 2012, April of 2012. And they adapted perfectly, even though it was a west to east move, because these cattle are adapted to that. Oh, Kevin Falk, hello. I want to put you here. Nice to see you. What do you think of Royal Empress trees for shade in North Florida, and which direction is best to plant rows? There are many names. What is the botanical name of the Royal Empress trees? If it's the Chinese Empress trees, that's a very good tree for this environment, and I will plant them east to west so they can act as a windbreak for the northern winds that are very cold here. I am in North Florida, in Tallahassee, and tomorrow we're going to be at -2 Celsius, 27, 25 Fahrenheit. And yesterday and today and the day before, we had strong north winds. So having a shelter belt that doubles as a shade tree with Chinese Empress will be great, but they need to be east to west. That's the best that I have found. I have planted hundreds of thousands of trees, but by seed with an no-till drill in my ranches. And now they are huge trees, and they provide shade and shelter from the north winds and the southern dry winds in the dry season. Now I'm going to go to the next. It's Kelsey Michelle Kelly. What are your thoughts on warm season perennials as far as a protein content in winter? Will it vary year to year? Do you recommend it to be tested before you develop your protein supplement plan? Okay, first, where are you located? That's very important. If you're located in the Midwest, it will be different than in Manitoba, Canada, and very different than Southern Florida. But a warm season perennial in winter, depending on your humus content in your soil, that's why it's so important to increase humus content. Humus is called heart. Are your fields in good heart or in poor heart? That's what they called it in England long time ago. So when you have higher humus content, the protein content of your stockpile grasses will be higher. Bahia grass, which is a warm season perennial, can go all the way from 6% protein when stockpile to 1 to 2% protein when stockpile and weathered with freeze-thaw cycles, especially if it rains after that. Now, will it vary year to year? Yes, it will vary because the weathering of the frost and thaw cycles is not the same every year. Some years are warmer, some years it rains more, and some years like this one are colder and rains more. So that makes it vary. Now, do you recommend it to be tested before you develop your protein supplement plan? No. I recommend you look at your cow, which is the best lab there is in the world. The cow will tell you by her gut feel, which is the triangle on the left flank, at the end of the day, if she's full or not. By observing her from afar, you will learn if she is content or not. By observing the manure, especially smearing it with your boot, you will find out if the manure is well digested or not. If it's not well digested, it usually means you need more protein. Don't look so much at how much it stacks, but how well digested it is. That is the best concept advice I can give. Dean Moser, I'm in the process of buying land in Tennessee that has early regeneration of clear-cut trees. Where are you at regarding the sinking of Silvopasture savanna with intermittent trees for shade to cattle and pastures? Okay, Dean, I am all for a savanna look. Trees are absolutely essential for healthy pastures, healthy land, healthy livestock, healthy wildlife, and healthy people. Because trees play many different roles. One is to regulate temperature, regulate humidity. They provide habitat for insects, birds, mammals, and many other species. And we want resiliency. Remember, each species we can bring into our land brings other 7 with them. The more species or biodiversity we have, the more resilient our land will be. So, by planting trees or living trees in a savanna type scenario, you will create also a mineral pump that will recycle minerals from deep in the ground down through leaf fall to the surface. And you will also create a lower temperature where the shade falls. You need diffuse shade species, not complete shade. Or you need 20 trees per acre, more or less, large trees. If you have more than that, you're going to suffer from competition for sunlight. So when you have enough trees, but not too many, the temperature in the soil is lower and the nitrogen cycle is more efficient and you get better forages and higher humus content in your soils. So trees are absolutely necessary and they are very valuable. Even if you don't sell any product from them, they need to be incorporated into every pasture. That's my take. Okay. Okay. Kelsey Michelle, in Kansas, if that gives better context. Yes, it does, of course. That means you don't have as much trouble with high humidity in the winter, but you do have, you can have the thawing and freezing cycle. So if your stockpile will deteriorate with time to where after February, if you get rains, it will be very low in protein, maybe 2% like us here. And we have had a very rainy winter. So our stockpile has been suffering. But up until now, we have been able to keep our cows content and in good body condition, grazing stockpile. And I plan to keep grazing the stockpile until the end of March. That's almost 2 months from now. And we have been grazing stockpile since October, because last year was a drought year. And now it's been raining but cold, so it's not growing, but it will start to grow. We have planted some winter annuals. I want to keep something green and growing most of the year or the full year if possible. Okay, Patrick Romo. How would you determine stocking rate for a bridled grassland like we have out in eastern New Mexico? I have been told we are rated at 45 acres to the animal unit. I would like to improve that. Yes, of course, and that's possible. I usually tell my clients, when you start, a good rule of thumb is to double the stocking rate. That is conventional stocking rate. So if you have one animal unit per 45 acres, and that's pretty good for that area, you can double it the first year. So that will be one animal unit per 22.5 acres. And then we go from there. If you look, we're going to offer later in a few weeks, the Total Grazing online course and the Adapted Genetics Selection Guidelines course together as a bundle. And I hope you buy it and you learn how to do it, because it's a step-by-step process. It will take too long to explain right now, but it's absolutely doable and it's easily explained, so you can do it in any different environment, and comes together with a question and answer session, a discussion forum, and access for your lifetime to the course. Okay, Paulonia tomentosa. Well, I know Paulonia. I'm not sure about that one. I was thinking about Chinese Empress because it's palatable for cattle. Now, Paulonia will not be grazed or browsed by the cattle, but will provide shade. So any tree you can plant is good. I prefer Chinese Empress because it is also a legume, so it will fix nitrogen and provide food for insects. So that's why I will prefer it, but any tree is good. Here we're going to plant black walnut and other species for wood and mulberry. I urge you, if you're in North Florida, to plant mulberry. The Pakistani variety is the best, and it produces wide, big leaves that are highly palatable for livestock, and they have the same quality as a protein concentrate, high in energy and protein. So I hope you investigate a little about it. It's very good. Thank you, Kevin. Now, Beatriz Pablos. Our problem now is that we have a lot of protein. Yes, I saw the video yesterday in Toledo, very high protein, 26.2. And I think the cows are intoxicated. What do you think? I totally agree. A protein excess and lack of fiber will create scours from mechanical action of lack of fiber and from the excess ammonia that is excess protein that is converted into ammonia and enters the blood, where it displaces oxygen, amongst other things. So it will be very good to dilute that excess protein with straw if you're able to do it, or to keep them off that very young and large pasture until it matures more, and put them maybe in a feedlot situation and feed them hay or straw with a little hay. To be able to do that successfully and with profits, it will be best if your cows were dry and pregnant right now, as I have the cows here in Tallahassee. Our cows will give birth, start calving in May. But in your situation, the best option will be to start calving in maybe March. And I'm going to bring out those courses of short and correct calving season, along with nutrition, after we launch the online courses about total grazing and adapted genetics selection guidelines. So that's what I would do in your case. dilute that excess protein with straw, like oat straw is the best. If you cannot find that, then corn straw, milo straw, barley straw, cebada, or even wheat straw, trigo, whichever. But you need to dilute that excess protein and don't feed them grain. Please don't feed them starchy grains because that will create even more acidosis, because the excess protein in cool season grasses that you have there in Spain also come with high sugar. And high sugar produces lactic acid, which creates the problem of acidosis. So we do not want to feed them grain, especially on lush, young, cool season forages. If that answered your question, I will be happy. If not, tell me. Okay. Dean Moser, regarding digestion, what is the largest stems in the bag we will want to see? Oh, you mean in the manure? Yeah, they need to be very, very small, less than 1/4 of an inch or 1/10 of an inch. I checked the manure on my cows here in Tallahassee, Florida today. They are grazing Stockpile Bahia grass, which was stockpiled since March of last year. So it's pretty old. And the particles were smaller than this. I don't know, 1/10 of an inch. And everything was well digested. But we are feeding in the salt, we mix a probiotic called Rumen Pro, that comes from South Africa, and the cow cubes. Those two together work in synergy to where we get a much better digestion and utilization of our grasses, stockpile grasses. Brenda Lisette, Jaime, okay. Oh, hello, Brenda. Please write your question so I can answer. Please, I will urge you to join the waitlist for the first and second pillar course that I was saying. When the enrollment opens, you will be the first to know and receive an exclusive waitlist offer. So you go to this page and you will get our offer after you write your email address so we know where to send it. And then you can get a discount. Okay, here is Brenda Lisette. It says, a second calf from a cow that showed a little challenge to raise her first calf and her second calf, which is this bull calf. Would you give this guy a chance or just sell it? You mean sell the cow or sell the calf? I don't understand. If you want to put it in Spanish, I will translate, no problem. But it's a second calf from a cow that showed a little challenge to raise her first calf. That was because she gave little milk or she didn't want to accept the calf. I need to know which one it is. And her second calf, which is this bull calf. Would you give this guy, that's a bull calf, okay, a chance or just sell it? I don't know the age of the bull calf. If it's a baby, you need to give it a chance. If it's already weaned and he's not good, I would just sell it. Because the cow is very important. That bull calf, half of its genes came from his dad, his mother. Okay, read the first part of the question. It's a second calf from a cow that showed a little challenge to raise her first calf. Yes. Oh, okay, sorry. Jaime, if you have a bull calf looking good conformation, masculine, so you think it will be, do you think it will be a good bull for your self-development from a second calf from a cow? I'm not understanding. Could you write it all in one sentence? Because now I have 6 different sentences. Please, Brenda, even if it's in Spanish, no problem. I will translate. Just put it all in one sentence. Okay, I have a question from Rick McConnell. How much Rumen Pro would you mix with 100 pounds of salt? Here's what I do, Rick. I mix 1/3 of a package, which is 450 grams, 1/3 of that with 10 bags of salt, which is 500 pounds of salt. I mix that with a shovel, and then I offer it to the cows, and they consume whatever they need, and then I get good results. 1 package of Rumen Pro should be enough for 25 cows for 1 day, or for 1 cow for 25,000 days. So it's very cheap. It's like 1.2 cents per cow per day, the cost. Okay, I'm going to put the questions from Brenda. It says, Jaime, if you have a bull calf looking good conformation, masculine, so you think it will be a good bull for yourself. Development from, then the next one says, but it is the second, a calf from a cow that showed a little challenge to raise her first and her second calf, which is her bull, this bull calf. Would you give this? I need to ask you, since you mentioned that, if that cow, did that cow calve at 24 months the first calf and 36 months the second calf? Now it says please, then it says before. I need a continuum so I can know what it is. Is this calf out of a cow that calved for the first time at 24 months of age and the second time at 36 months of age? That is very important because that's a selection guideline I use. Yes, you said. Okay, then yes, absolutely. You need to look at the bull calf and see if he looks the part, if he's good. Now, the dam is showing you that she had what it takes to calve at 24 months the first time and 36 months the next time. That's very hard to achieve. So that cow was able to do it. Definitely, I will give that bull a chance and a chance to grow and see how he develops. And then you apply the selection guidelines that are in the course, and you decide knowing that he's absolutely the best or not. You will know when you apply those selection guidelines. Yes, thank you, Brenda. Okay, thank you, Rick. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Now, Dean Moser says, Jaime, do you first figure out salt consumption before going with the Rumen Pro calculations? Yes, absolutely. I said that's what I do because our cows consume between 20 to 35 grams per cow per day of salt. So if you know your salt consumption more or less, because it varies through the year, you can make a good guess and then mix the Rumen Pro. Remember, we want 1 package of Rumen Pro to last for 25,000 cow days. So 1/3 of the package should last for 8,000 cow days. So from there you can go. Thank you, Brenda. Now I understand. Now, Dean Moser has another question. Those of us in cold climates are finding that salt consumption drops to nothing in the cold weather. Oh, okay. Why would that be? There is no sodium need? Well, if that's the case, then the Rumen Pro can be mixed with the protein supplement if it's a soybean meal or some meal that you can mix it or just dribble it on top. That's what I did when I was feeding it with biochar. I was feeding our cows biochar, 100 grams of biochar per cow per day, plus 10 grams of molasses, so they will eat it, in long trains made of half plastic drums. And I dribble on top of that the biochar. No, the Rumen Pro. But the Rumen Pro first, I mix it like it says there in the package, 1 package in 50 plus 50 pounds of soybean meal. You mix it very well, And then of that mix, you feed 1 gram per cow per day. So that's easy to do. Let's say you're feeding 350 cows, but you use 350 grams, which is a little bit less than half a pound, than 1 pound. 1 pound is 440 grams. So you do your calculations and you just dribble it on top of the feed. In this case, it was biochar, and the cows and heifers were able to graze completely, total grazing, over mature bahia grass in the green season, but over mature, and had excellent body condition and good fiber digestion. So that did work, yes. Yes, no idea why, but it happened. So I'm offering you another option to feed the rumen pro. If they don't consume the salt, I'm sure they don't need it, or unless your water source is high in salt or sodium. It will be wise to check that. Beatriz Pablos is asking, where can we find rumen pro? Well, I bring it from South Africa, and I have the distributor ship for the United States. In Mexico, it's Gerardo Diaz. I don't know which country you're writing from, but you can talk directly to Gary from Green Bio in South Africa. If you send me an email to realwealthranchingllc@gmail.com, I can give you the contact information. It says, I know rumen pro is not available in Mexico. No, it is available in Mexico with Gerardo Diaz, yes. He's a distributor in Mexico, and I am the distributor in the United States. It doesn't make much money, and it's very cheap, so it's more like a service that I give. I'm sure Gerardo does the same, because in Spain, okay, I'm sorry. Beatriz Pablo, in Spain, okay, well, send me an email to realwealthranchingllc@gmail.com to give you the contact for, or you can go directly to his website, which is Green Bio, Green B-I-O. You will find it there. He's from South Africa. His name is Gary Weaver. Thank you, Beatriz. Gracias. Okay, so most of the questions have been about trees, about rumen pro, which I mentioned, but it does work. It's a very good one. About selection, bull selection, that's a good one, Brenda. A cow that calved at 24 months and again at 36 months and has a bull calf, but she had showed a little challenge to raise her first and second calf. Well, that's because she calved young. So try to pamper her a little. That's a good cow. And the bull calf should be very good. What breed is that cow? I would like to know, just for curiosity. Patrick Romo. Yeah, stocking rate for bridled grasslands. So you see, we are all on the same boat. We want to increase our profitability while improving our land the fastest. Why do we want to do that? Because if we improve our land the fastest, our profitability will continue to increase over the years, or at least we will be able to compete when others go broke, because our land will support us. That's how it should be. We improve our land, so the land will support us, and we continue to improve it every year of our lives, so we leave a better legacy than what we received. That's the main point that motivates me, and it's my passion, to improve the land with low-cost biological methods. Because if we do not make a profit, if we spend all our money in improving the land, we will not be happy. We will not bring harmony to our lives. We will not bring harmony to our livestock and our land. We need harmony. We need to have a peaceful and happy life. And we need to improve not only our relationships with other people, but our relationship with our land, our animals, and our environment. We are not apart from nature. We are an integral part, and we are called to be stewards of the land. I wanted to say this point because so many people become discouraged when they see the vegans talking against beef, or the catastrophe that's coming because of climate change. Well, we need to act. We need to do our part. We need to play our part as stewards of the land. Now, if there are other questions, here they are. There is Dean Moser. It says, I am selling my cows and going to be starting from scratch with better genetics for Tennessee heat. Can you share a plan for moving as fast as possible forward with genetics? Yep, I do. But I want to know if you can take it, because this plan involves buying heifers, maybe of a breed that you don't like very much. But because you're going to Tennessee, where it can get very cold in the winter, because I don't know if you call it the cold factor, but it's high humidity with low temperatures. It's not like Montana or Colorado, I'm sorry, but it's you feel it much worse, the cold. And then in the heat, you're going to have high temperatures with high humidity. That means high heat index. So you need genetics that can handle that. So I would suggest you start with Corriente heifers, and then put to them a Machona Angus bull or something like that, something similar. That's a very precise suggestion, but if you take my course, the online course of Adapted Genetics, you will get better ideas. But I will start with that, and then, as you know, expose them to the bull in a short and correct breeding season, and keep the best ones that get bred. Those will be the best ones, and sell the rest. And you repeat that year after year. But you need to take it easy, have a cash reserve, because the cash flow may or may not be good enough. So it depends. So there is always a trade-off. Brenda Lisette, the cow is what we call commercial. The breed was of a black Angus, and the bull calf is a black Angus. Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to know. So you're in the United States, not in Colombia? I didn't know. I didn't ask. I'm sorry. Ted Unrum. Hello, Ted. Can you talk about how mature forage build humus faster? Yes, I will. When we want to build humus, which is built by the root exudates from the plants that feed the microorganisms, and the microorganisms themselves, when they die, they are digested by other microorganisms until after many generations and digestions, with the last digestion being carried out by fungi. After a process of humification, it becomes humus. Now, green and young and lush forage produces sugary root exudates and feeds microorganisms in the soil. But for them to concentrate that energy into fat, it requires time. So when we allow our forages to stockpile, they not only have more lignin, but they have been feeding the soil microorganisms for longer and with higher amount of fat in their root exudates. And this fat is what determines the amount of humus formed. To where if we can produce 300 kilos of fat per hectare, it's directly proportionate to the amount of humus produced compared to 100 kilos of fat per hectare. What determines humus formation is the fat being produced by our plants and our microorganisms, and that has to do with time. That's why when the root and crown reserves are full, we call them fat roots. It's not that it's only fat, but it's that they are full of carbohydrates and more of the energy is in the form of fat than sugars. Energy can be stored in the form of fat or sugars. It's not to say that carbohydrates change into fats, but when you consume a lot of carbohydrates, you store up fat. The same happens with the microorganisms when they are fully fed and fat and round. So that's why. I hope that helped. Where am I now? Yeah. Okay, Jorge Luis Huizar, bienvenido. Do you recommend using timed AI or set time to get the correct genetics into the herd? That depends. If you have the correct technician to do it, then yes. If not, then no, absolutely no. It's better to buy a bull. If you have a small number of cows, it's better to buy a bull, and bulls are available. But if you have a lot of cows and you want to progress faster and you have access to the right technician who can guarantee that he will give you a high breeding percentage, then yes, I've seen good examples and bad examples. Depends on who does it and how expert he is at it, he or she is at it. I have had experiences where we get 30% pregnancy rate, and I have had people that with 1,000 cows, a set time breeding, they get 60% in the first AI. In the second, they go up to 70%. So that's very good, in my opinion. Brenda, they said Mexico. Okay, nice, Brenda. Thank you. Dean Moser, perfect, thank you. How do we deal with the meat-to-bone ratio between Corriente and Machona? No problem with buying Corriente, they are cheap. Yes, but as I said, there is a trade-off. Corriente haven't been selected for more beef, a better beef to bone ratio. So they have more bone than beef, but they have advantages. One is they are very cheap. The other one is they raise as a per cap when crossed with Angus or Charlie. The other one is that they can get bred even when they are thin. Not many breeds can do that. The Machona can and the Corriente can. The other one, they have a superb ability to stand extremes in cold and hot and heat, and they have nutritional adaptation. So maybe a Corriente with a good Angus will be my first choice for the first few years. And then after the second generation hits the ground, we can think about a composite. But first, only Corriente and Angus, that would be very good. Good Corriente. Thank you, Ted. Yes, he says, thank you, very good explanation. A prominent soil scientist disagreed the other day, but what you say makes sense. Well, there are scientific studies that I can send to you if you like. Just tell me by WhatsApp. The latest is December of last year, not 2020, but 2019. And it says that they did a research, and up to 80% of the humus formed in the soil is built up from the soil microorganisms fed by the roots of the plants, as I just explained. And the other 20% is from decaying leaf material. So we have been wrong for a long time. It's time to set things right and manage accordingly. Now, Jeremy Broman, how much protein supplement should you feed? Like how many pounds per cow on stockpile? Well, it depends. The size of the cow, we want to hit a minimum of 8% protein if our cows are dry and pregnant when they are grazing stockpile, which should be. I explained that in the short and correct calving season. But if let's say your stockpile has a 4%, you need to hit 8% because your cows are dry, and your cows consume 10 kilos of dry matter in the forage per cow per day. Then we need 400 grams to go from 4% to 8% total protein in the daily intake. So to feed 400 grams, we can feed 1 kilo of cottonseed meal, which is 41%, but that's on 100% dry matter basis, and we have a 87, 88% dry matter basis. So 1 kilo of cottonseed meal should suffice for a cow of that size at that stage that she's pregnant and dry. If the cow is milking, then she needs much more. That's why we want them calving in the green season, not in the dry season. And that's why we need adapted genetics, because many times people have their cows calved in the winter because they want to use an adapted genetics of bulls which sperm dies in the heat of the summer. So they need to breed their cows in February, March, before the heat comes, and then they end up calving in winter when there is cold and very poor grass, not green, and then they have to feed a lot of supplement and hay, and then they complain they didn't make money. Whose responsibility it is to put the bulls in and take them out, to decide when the calves are born? The cow or the owner? It's always the owner. So when I see those Marlboro ads, when the cowboy goes into the snowstorm and saves a calf that has been born in the cold, oh, I get so mad. That is not brave, that is stupid. Don't make them calve in the snow. It's easy. Okay, yeah, thanks. I am grazing, 600 to 800 pound stockers. Well, then according to that, now a stocker, you want them gaining barely enough so they look nice through the winter. So when the spring comes or the growing season returns, you can have compensatory gains. So I will not feed them much higher than the 8% protein, maybe 10% protein, and keep it there. So they gain like half a pound a day. And then when the spring comes, they will gain 3 pounds a day, and you make up for the time lost. And you don't spend money. Keep the money in your pocket. Any dollar that you keep in your pocket is a dollar you made. That's good advice, Jeremy. Okay. He's feeding 0.33 pounds per day, up to 2 pounds per day, depending on their poop. Yeah. Okay, good. That's good. Where are you from, Jeremy? Where is that? Jorge Luis Wizar. On average, how many cows should a 2 to 3 year old bull with the correct genetics breed in 42-day breeding season? That's a good question. I'm happy you asked. On average, 30 to 35, maybe 40, but I have had bulls that can do 50 at that age, and mature, they can do 100 in those 42 days. So it depends. When you do a multi-sire breeding, where you put 10 bulls on 300 cows, if you observe closely, you will find out that half of the bulls get 80% of the cows, and the other half of the bulls don't get much. So observe them. It's very interesting. In nature, there was 1 bull per cow. How do you think they sorted out who would get to breed the cows? That's why I do multi-sire breeding. Try not to get stacking of manure. More than the stacking of the manure, look at the fiber digestion. Smear with your boot the manure pile and look how well it is digested, because stacking has more to do with moisture content, how much water they are drinking, how dry is the stockpile, than with the fiber digestion. Go for the fiber digestion, so much better. Oh, Ladonia, Texas. Okay, great. Great, outside of Dallas. Wow, so you get the winter rains. I hope you planted some ryegrass. That will work well. I planted a lot of ryegrass here. We have like 300 acres. And it's coming very nice. Okay, David Comlander. You're welcome. Nice to see you here. He says, I'm currently breeding Corriente to Angus. The Corriente will eat almost anything. Yes, that's nutritional adaptation. The only problem with the Corriente is they don't like to graze close together, always hooking each other. Well, that's easy to fix. Take their horns out, and then you will not have that problem. It's not their fault. It's that they need to be dehorned when they are young And if they weren't, you can still do it. Just do it close to the school, not very close, like an inch, and then and that will take care of that. Corrientes, they come from Africa. Their ancestors, they have African, both Taurus genes, so they can be considered a native breed, and they have a very good nutritional adaptation, which will help you hugely in difficult environments. And Jeremy Broman, rye and fescue. Great, that works. That works. Jorge Luis Huizar, thank you. You're welcome, Jorge Luis. I'm happy to help. Now, if there are any other questions, I will like to answer them before we finish. I will give another 5 minutes for last questions, please. It's been very interesting. Thank you all for asking the questions, and I hope my answers were satisfactory for you. And I hope you join the waitlist for the first and second pillars of real wealth ranching, which is total grazing, which is very, very important. But to do it properly, we need adapted genetics with selection guidelines that allow you to improve your land the fastest. Because when we do total grazing, it's much, much more demanding on your livestock than the normal conventional grazing. So you need better genes, better genetics, but you will increase your return on investment or your profits to double, triple, and more. I have had ranches that in the first year go 5 times higher stocking rate. Most normal is 2 times higher, and the third year 3 times, and then from there we go on up. But that's been my experience. So I hope you all get interested in this way of doing things, because it's not only the grazing, but the selection and the genetics. Jeremy Broman is asking me, what do you think about PCC bulls? They have the correct politics or selection guidelines. Some of them are very good, but when you say PCC bulls, I will add this. Where did they come from? Because now the original PCCs were from Colorado, but now they have cooperator herds. One is in Dallas. So if you find a good bull, according to the selection guidelines that I exposed there in the online course, go for it. Most of the bulls of the PCC are very good. There are some that I really like one that came from Scotland. I don't remember, EY or something like that. Another that is a very old bull. Well, Belchire or something. He has some very good bulls. The best red Angus bulls, some of the best, are from PCC. Yes. Okay, Kelsey Michelle. Thoughts on the Southpole breed? Can they be managed non-selectively and perform? I prefer to call it total grazing, because non-selectively is a negative connotation. So there are some good animals in the Southpole, and there are some not good animals there. They need to refine that to where all of them are good. If you find a good bull, by all means use it. They have good animals there. But remember that genes have no breed. That means the individual is more important than the breed, even in Southpole. Well, I see you next Wednesday at the same time. The topic will be ranch profitability, and we will explain in detail and offer you a program that you can take home and play with it. Thank you very much all, and I am happy to have you here, and see you next week. Good night.